Humans did not change their ways, leading to climate change affecting the environment, which ultimately leads our planet to run out of resources. Even then, the rich get to live in nice habitable places they call the New World, while everyone else is stuck in the wasteland, which is called the Old World. However, the rich cannot use their money since the resources are running out and they are put under strict regulations. One main factor the government controls is childbirth. If a couple wants to have a child, they need to go through a 7-day assessment to evaluate if they are capable of raising the child. Mia is a young girl swimming in the sea. She hears her mother calling out to her, but when she swims back, she cannot see her mother anymore. Mia panics and swims as fast as she can, and she comes up as an older woman, and all this time we have been seeing a past memory. Mia lives in a smart home, which notifies her about the weather changes and even keeps track of her workout routine. Mia then enters a glowing room where she can enter the virtual reality world created by her husband Aryan, who used the technology to design pets. After the couple discusses their activities for the day, Mia performs the maintenance checks on the machines in the greenhouse and takes care of the plants as she gathers a few ingredients for dinner. At night, Aryan and Mia share their worries since they will be going through the 7-day assessment soon. This ends up with them performing the naughty things, and Mia gets triggered thinking about her memory of the sea. Aryan gets tired and falls asleep, but Mia goes to the greenhouse to have some peace of mind. In the morning, Virginia comes to their house, and she will be the one doing the assessment by living with the couple for a week, and she will be the one to decide if they can have a baby. Virginia informs the couple that they can quit the assessment at any point if they want to. Mia asks Virginia about the criteria they will be assessed on, but Virginia only says that the less they know, the better. Virginia tells them to be themselves and wants to know the real couple. After this, Virginia interviews them separately, asking about their childhood, their relationship, and even the details of their nightly performances. During the interview, Mia explains that she doesn't remember much about her mother and her sister since they were sent to the old world when she was little. Virginia asks Mia if she has any comments about the government for doing this, but Mia assures her she doesn't have any. Next, Virginia asks them why they want a child, and they say about helping the future, feeling fulfilled as a family, and giving a child a sense of belonging. Since Mia did not have that when she was a child, she wants the baby to have that. After the interview, the couple gives Virginia a tour of their house. Virginia tests the bed and complains about the springs, despite the fact that they say that there are no springs in the mattress. After this, they reach the virtual world, which Virginia is not pleased about. Next, they visit the greenhouse, and Virginia is curious to find that the only thing Mia has of her mother is a flower. Virginia then asks for full access to every area of the house, which the couple has already changed into the system. Virginia then asks them both for their urine, saliva, blood, hair, and private fluids. The couple has already sent those to the government, but Virginia wants to double check in case of cheating. Later, Virginia isn't impressed by Mia's dinner made with the ingredients she gathered from the greenhouse. She notices Aryan's scar and asks about it. He tells her that the animal activists attacked him because of his invention, even though he made it so that the real animals could be protected. When the attack happened, Aryan jumped through a window, and that's how he got the scar. The government sent those attackers to the old world, and Mia comments that they deserved that. Hearing this, Virginia wonders if Mia's mother had done something similar too, since Mia did not comment about it. When the couple goes to bed, Aryan tells Mia that Virginia purposely brought up her mother to make her lose her calm. They start their performance as usual, but they freak out as Virginia is there watching them. She explains that her assessment will cover every aspect of their life and needs to confirm their answers. Mia and Aryan are uncomfortable, but since they want a baby, they continue their performance as Virginia continues to watch them. In the morning, they ask Virginia about the bags of baby food that arrived, but she doesn't answer any of their questions and instead plays with a spoon. When they sit down for breakfast, Virginia starts acting like a kid, pushing her bowl and pounding it on the table. Mia tells her to stop, and Virginia accuses her of raising her voice. Things get awkward when Mia pounds her fist on the table. Aryan tries playing and tries feeding Virginia, but she throws the food at him, and Aryan swears since it gets in his eye, and Virginia keeps hitting the bowl on the table. Mia takes him to the bathroom to wash up and helps him with eye drops. When they return, Virginia is gone, and they find food all over their furniture and the walls. They start looking for her and notice that every room is in a mess, and they find Virginia in his virtual room, where she is dancing while his system makes an unbearable noise. They tell her to stop, but the noise gets louder, and eventually Aryan yells stop, which makes the system go normal. He tells Virginia that this is not a toy, and she only responds that the test is over. That evening, another package arrives, and Virginia tells the couple that they need to build a toy house using this, and they have time until the next morning. Mia and Aryan have trouble since the instructions are not clear, and when they make some progress, the entire thing collapses. But they don't give up and work hard through the night, and finally manage to finish building it. Surprisingly, they find an extra piece, and the instructions mention that all the pieces must be used. Since they can't find where the piece goes, Mia heads out and throws the extra piece into the sea. When Virginia wakes up, she takes a close look around and approves, saying they have done well. In fact, she decides this will be her room and asks the couple to bring her things. Later, she watches Aryan as he works and begins to share the story of her dog. When the government called for a cull, she didn't like the idea of her beloved pet dying with a stranger, so she killed him herself, which left her crying for days. Aryan invites her to touch the monkey he's designed, and she's impressed by how realistic the fur feels. But suddenly she announces that she's bored and wants to play a game. By the time Mia comes to check on them, Virginia and Aryan are pretending to be wild animals, jumping on each other in the jungle. Mia finds it curious because Aryan always said his back never recovered from the window jump. The next day, they go to the beach, and the couple makes sure Virginia doesn't go anywhere dangerous. They play hide and seek, and Mia starts to feel upset because Aryan and Virginia keep finding each other, but never her, and she begins to notice how easily they laugh together while she feels left behind. It doesn't help that Virginia keeps calling Aryan daddy, which Mia tries to ignore, but the word sticks like something bitter. She walks over and tries to join them as they start building a sandcastle, only to watch Virginia stand up and begin working on another one by herself, as if Mia was never even there. Mia starts to wonder if she's really ready for all this, and Aryan, noticing her unease, reminds her gently that she's not her mother. It's then they realize Virginia is missing, and her shoes are drifting in the water. A wave crashes, and Virginia is suddenly there, dropped on the sand like a forgotten doll, and Mia rushes to her without thinking, pulling her out with cold hands and a racing heart. But Virginia, soaked and shivering, pulls away and walks past her, and Mia can't hold it in anymore. She snaps, wondering aloud if helping was wrong, if maybe she should have just let her drown. Virginia doesn't say a word and simply walks away, and Aryan scolds Mia for losing control like that. On the way home, Virginia holds out her arms and asks Aryan to carry her, and he does, but the rain starts falling and soon his back begins to ache, so he puts her down carefully. Mia offers to carry her instead, but Virginia says she only wants daddy, which makes the silence between them grow even heavier. When they reach the house, Virginia stops at the door and refuses to go in. So Mia tells her she can still hate her inside where it's warm, and somehow that's enough to make Virginia follow. Later, Mia gives her a bath and they both end up laughing, playing with the bubbles like nothing bad ever happened. As Mia brushes her hair, she talks about how her own mother used to do this for her, and there's a softness in the air that wasn't there before. She kisses the top of Virginia's head without even thinking, finally feeling something real between them. But just as the warmth begins to settle in, a letter arrives announcing they'll be hosting a dinner party tonight, and Virginia confirms this is yet another part of the assessment. The couple scrambles to prepare, cooking the best meal they can, and dressing in their nicest clothes, trying to hide their nerves under good fabric and practicing smiling. When the guests arrive, Virginia bursts out of the toy house pretending to be a child, setting the tone before anyone even sits down. During dinner, Walter proudly tells the table how Mia used to be a brilliant student of his, and his wife Evie gives her a look full of something sharp and cold. In the kitchen, Mia pulls Aryan aside and finally tells him that before they ever met, she had an affair with Walter, and that she was so young she didn't realize he was taking advantage of her. She says she knows Evie hates her for it, because Evie knows the truth. Mia's hands are shaking, but Aryan holds her and reminds her this is part of the test too, that these people were sent to push them, and they can't let them win. When they return to the table, Virginia begins choking, and Mia immediately steps in to help her eat. holding her hand steady as the room watches in silence. Soon, another guest arrives, and Aryan is surprised to see his mother standing at the door, looking like she would rather be anywhere else. She steps inside with stiff shoulders and cold eyes, and while the others pretend to welcome her, it's clear she isn't happy to be there. Virginia continues to misbehave at the table, fidgeting with cutlery and slipping under the chairs, and Mia does her best to keep her under control while the adults begin arguing about whether it's even right to bring children into a world running out of resources. Someone mentions rumors from across the border, whispers that people are healing, that reproduction is returning naturally, and that maybe rebuilding the old world isn't as impossible as it once seemed. The conversation drifts toward population control, and Virginia suddenly bolts from the table, running in circles around the room as if the subject itself made her restless. Mia follows her, trying to coax her back, but Virginia plants herself next to the guests with stubborn silence. Mia leans down to move her, but Virginia hits her right across the arm. Mia freezes, then takes a long breath and tells her calmly that she isn't mad. The softness in her voice seems to work, and Virginia finally gets up without another word. The group raises their glasses for a toast, trying to reclaim the evening's dignity, but it doesn't last. Aryan's mother sets her drink down and breaks the moment completely by revealing that Aryan once tried to have a child with a previous partner, but they were denied. The words hang in the air like smoke. Mia hadn't known, and the shock of it lands hard enough to make her quietly slip away to the kitchen. Aryan follows her, trying to explain, saying he didn't want to upset her by bringing up something that already felt like a closed door. He asks her to save the conversation for later, promising they'll talk, but for now, they need to finish the night. When they return to the table, Evie starts talking badly about Mia's mother and makes cruel generalizations about the people from the old world. She brags about being 153 years old, explaining that she remembers what the world used to be like before it fell apart. Virginia climbs onto Evie's lap and asks her to tell more. So Evie begins describing the chaos of surviving the apocalypse and how she believes that dividing society into two worlds was the only way to save humanity. She insists that the younger generation is too reckless and will ruin everything by having more babies. But before she can continue, her expression twists with rage, and she suddenly pushes Virginia off her lap, furious that the little girl peed on her. Mia is devastated to see Virginia on the floor, hurt and humiliated. And when Evie sneers that being a bad mother clearly runs in the family, Mia slaps her across the sleeve. Mia tucks Virginia into bed and feels a small smile form when the girl thanks her for defending her. But the moment turns strange when Virginia leans in and kisses Mia on the lips, and Mia immediately pulls back, stunned. Still unsettled, Mia heads to the bedroom and starts arguing with Aryan about the child he once tried to have with someone else. She yells, hurt, that he kept this from her, and neither of them realize Virginia is listening from the other room. Aryan tries to explain that he hid it because he didn't want her to think he wasn't enough, and they both end up apologizing, admitting this whole process is harder than they ever imagined. But at least they remind themselves Virginia will be gone in 2 days. This too, Virginia overhears. In the middle of the night, Virginia creeps into their room saying she's had a bad dream. Aryan tells her to go back to her bed, but Mia lets her crawl in beside them, hoping it might help her feel safe. The next morning, Mia receives a call from the hospital. Her sister has suffered an embolism and is now in intensive care. She begins packing to leave, though Aryan warns her it's risky to travel while they're still being assessed. When they tell Virginia, she coldly reminds them that while Mia is allowed to leave, doing so will automatically terminate their application. The three of them argue, and Mia insists there should be exceptions for emergencies. She adds that going to care for her sister is exactly the kind of example a child should witness. After some tension, Virginia agrees to allow the trip on the condition Mia returns before 6 in the morning. That night, Aryan tries to sleep alone, but is woken up by Virginia climbing on top of him, again claiming she's had a bad dream. But this time she begins behaving inappropriately, whispering that it's part of the assessment and promising it will stay between them. Aryan tries to push her away, saying no, but Virginia slaps him and continues until it's over. When Mia returns, she finds them in the bed together and slips between them without a word. The next morning, she explains that there was a mix-up at the hospital, someone with the same name as her sister, and she had rushed back as soon as she learned the truth. Aryan begins suspecting Virginia planned the whole thing, but Virginia only calls Mia "Mommy," in an innocent voice that makes her smile despite everything. Later, Mia asks Aryan to watch Virginia while she goes for a swim. Virginia bothers him while he's working, and he tells her to wait until later, which annoys her. She goes outside and tries calling for Mia, but gets no response. As revenge, she sneaks into the greenhouse and starts destroying everything, cutting through gas lines, tearing electric cables, letting the chaos build until fire breaks out. Virginia panics and starts calling out for her parents, but the smoke makes her dizzy and the debris traps the door shut. Mia, slowly walking back from the beach, sees smoke rising and starts running. Aryan is still at his station when the house AI alerts him of the emergency, but as he approaches, the fire triggers memories of the past attack and he freezes. Mia reaches the greenhouse and kicks at the door, but it won't budge, so she grabs a rock and breaks a hole big enough to crawl through. Inside, she finds Virginia barely conscious and drags her to the opening, pushing her out before crawling after her. Once they're safe, Mia turns around and watches the flames consume her beloved greenhouse. That night, Virginia refuses to eat and walks away from the table. Mia follows her to the beach, her voice quiet but steady as she calls her out for destroying everything she worked so hard to build. But Virginia doesn't respond. She just walks farther away. The next day, Virginia gives the final verdict. Their application has been denied and they won't be getting a child. Aryan explodes, realizing he gave himself away for nothing, while Mia is so stunned that she just starts laughing. Virginia ignores his shouts and simply leaves. The couple eats lunch in complete silence. Later, while cleaning the clubhouse, Mia finds the extra toy piece, the one Virginia used to break the systems. Rage overtakes her as she runs back to the house, grabs her shovel, and smashes the toy to pieces, crying until her whole body shakes. Aryan finds her and hugs her tight until she begins to calm down. He tells her he has something to show her and brings her to the virtual room. There, he surprises her with a digital baby girl. Mia smiles brightly as she holds her, but then suddenly drops the projection and says the baby smells like nothing, breaking the illusion. Aryan tries desperately to convince her they can still be happy, that they can return to normal and rebuild together, but Mia says she can't do this anymore, and she walks away. Sometime later, Mia finds Virginia living alone in a rundown apartment. When Virginia threatens to call the police, Mia refuses to leave until she knows the truth. After a long and bitter argument, Virginia finally breaks and reveals that no one has passed the assessment in 6 years. The government keeps it going to maintain morale, promising assessors a child of their own if they work hard enough, but most can't endure it and quit. In the end, Virginia breaks down completely and confesses that she had a daughter, now dead, and that she's been humiliated, used, and broken, just to keep pretending that any of this is still real. Mia offers her sympathies and gently asks if it's true, if life is returning to the old world, if maybe there's still something waiting beyond the border that's worth hoping for. Virginia doesn't answer, but something in her seems to unravel. Not long after, she visits another couple for an assessment, going through the motions as expected, though her eyes betray how tired she is. Eventually, she steps out onto the balcony and, without hesitation, lets go. Back at home, Aryan tries to comfort himself the only way he knows how. He disappears into a virtual world where a digital version of Mia laughs beside him and a grown daughter hugs him like everything turned out right. But it's all synthetic, and he knows it, even if he can't admit it out loud. Meanwhile, Mia makes her way to the border and accepts a hazmat suit without asking questions. She's granted access to cross over and begins the long journey into the old world. The weather is violent and unforgiving, but she keeps going until she's far enough from the checkpoint. Then, with trembling fingers, she removes her mask, not out of recklessness, but because she's done with living behind barriers. The wind stings and the air smells strange, but it's real. And for the first time in a long time, she feels like she's finally ready to reconnect with something untouched and natural, even if it kills her. And now that you've reached the end, I wonder what you think about Mia's choice, about Virginia's breaking point, and about the world they were all forced to live in. Do you believe the assessment was ever fair? Do you think there's still hope left across the border? Or has everyone just been surviving on empty promises? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your feelings, or even what moments stayed with you most. Let me know in the comments. Until next time, this is your host for Movie Recap, signing off.